Hi, my name is Nicholas Vargas, and this video is from our Introduction to Terrorism course, and specifically assignment of Final Terrorism Event Analysis Review. So the first two sources I'll be talking about will the Tree of Life synagogue attack, and the second two will be the Crocus City Hall attack. The first one is Imagined Theories, Demographic Conspiracy Theories, Anti-Semitism, and the Legacy of the 2018 Pittsburgh Synagogue Attack by Julian Belaish. The quote I decided to use for this one is, "This conspirational representation of Jews embodied by HIAS, paired with the representation of evil migrants, came to dominate Bauer's social reality. HIAS turned into a deadly enemy to defeat in order to protect and save white people from immigration." This is the quote, and this is the article. So, the theory I specifically use for this one is the anti-Semitic conspiracy radicalization theory, along with the demographic threat theory. HIS was a Jewish refugee aid, and the terrorist attacker, the domestic dissident terrorism attack, the actor, was someone that believed that the Jewish people were helping refugees come over in order to wipe sort of the original demographic, the white people, from the United States. This applies because it was now treated as now an anti-Semitic conspiracy belief, and the attack resulted in this fear across the Jewish community. The second source is the Tree of Life synagogue attack, a terrorist radicalization assessment, Protocol 18, examination of pre-attack warnings and post-attack contagion on copycat effects by Molly Ammon. The quote I used was, "Deciding not to risk it, he took a calculated chance that he could find the information he needed on the internet to help him understand the TOL's location, architecture, floor plan, and interior, as well as its busiest times to ensure he had a target-rich environment on the day of his attack." And it ends right there. The theory I use for this one is the radicalization warning behavior theory. This specific source uses Protocol 18 in order to find ways in which people proceed to do attacks. This one is vulnerability, desirability, and availability. So in that quote itself, I explain how he was searching for ways that it was available, desirable, and vulnerable. He wanted to specifically search when it was the busiest, how it was set up, and how far away it was from him, which wasn't discussed in the quote, but the article then, the source then goes on to speak about how he was specifically looking for something that he could specifically target, and the Tree of Life synagogue was just 20 minutes away from his home. So this just showed this was anti-Semitic goals and goals-directed violence, and there were proximal warning signs shown beforehand, before the attack. The third source is now the Crocus City Hall attack, and it's from Tajikistan and Moscow and Iran, mapping the local and transnational threat of Islamic State Khorasan by Amir Dadoun. The quote I used for this one was right here, and it was, "Second, within the largest environment and an internationally isolated Taliban regime, ISK has successfully exploited the Taliban's efforts to normalize relations with regional state actors such as Iran, China, and Russia." So this is the organizational survival / expansion theory. Because ISK, after this quote, had specifically, the article then says specifically after this quote that this was in order for them to show they had long-term survival and had recognition. This was a group that could not be taken as a joke and needed to expand. They used Central Asian networks in order to expand, and then went on to show that they wanted to spread ideologies and that they wanted to survive. They wanted to be recognized. And this shows that they can grow if they continue to exploit these avenues. And the fourth and final source is from the Islamic State in Khorasan province, exploiting a counterterrorism gap by Tricia Bacon. And this is the highlighted excerpt. The international appetite for counterterrorism cooperation diminished with the rise of strategic competition and as a result of the major conflicts that have broken out in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. So this is specifically talking about the counterterrorism gap theory. This theory specifically states that there is gaps with intelligence between different countries in order to find ways to counter terrorism. And so here the quote specifically states that there was a gap between cooperation on counterterrorism because of conflicts that had already been going on. So ISIS-K had found a specific vulnerability and found a way to then attack a specific avenue, the Crocus City Hall, in order to spread somewhat of an ideology and show they had presence. This meant that this was based on environmental gaps in cooperation of intelligence. So now, the significance of these two attacks. The significance of the Tree of Life attack showed anti-Semitism and showed how conspiracy beliefs can make religious communities into now symbolic targets. And it also revealed terrorism can come from within a country and from people that live inside the country. So there is the actor who is from a specific country, in this case, the United States, and the people being attacked also from the United States. So it's domestic dissident terrorism. And the Crocus City Hall attack showed an international reach of a terrorist group and showed external operations for influence and survival. So both use more symbolic civilian targets to then spread a certain ideology, which is also then going on to spread fear beyond those that were just present. Now, the future outlook and a recommendation, or more so the future outlook. So for the Tree of Life, the issue will keep happening if anti-Semitic conspiracy theories keep spreading online, and concern is not just groups, but now people, as seen from the attack. And the way to stop this is complicated without trying to violate people's rights and monitoring and censorship, but there is a certain way that monitoring should happen in order to see when ideology and hate then becomes planning. Now, for Crocus City Hall reveals a need to, Crocus City Hall shows a need for ISIS-K to expand. It shows they want to expand, want to grow. So it shows that they're growing power, and if there's continuous gaps, and if they want to continue surviving as a group, they will continue to perform these acts. So my first recommendation is to not use broad terms when describing these events and all of these things. Like, describe anti-Semitism for anti-Semitism, not far right, not far left. Describe it for how it is. Let's not include the politics of it all. Let's say it how it is. And then another recommendation is focus on the warnings and symbolic targets, because officials should focus on when, as I stated, ideology then becomes planning. So also something that could help here is protection for communities, whether it's synagogues or churches or anything beside that, have proper protections. And the third would be improving intelligence, because ISIS-K did find a gap in intelligence, which is counterterrorism gap theory, which I use here. And it's just showing that countries need to work together in order to find ways to counter terrorism. There should not be a lack of intelligence from either side. So this showed that all of these two attacks overall just showed that terrorism is not tied, terrorism is tied to a cause and a grievance, but terrorism is looking for a cause. It has a reason behind it. And whether that is anti-Semitic conspiracy radicalization, as I explained here, or it is lack of intelligence or wanting to expand, it all goes down to trying to find reasons as to why this happens, how this happens, and how to stop it. Thank you.